Daniel Schreiber, who is the LMND CEO. Daniel, it's always a pleasure to have you on here. Look, I wish we could begin with something more bright, more airy, but this is critical. This is where your business also comes into play for so many policies as well. What are you seeing early now in terms of some of the claims that are coming through post-hurricanes that have moved through?
Well, as you say, Brad, both Helene and subsequent natural catastrophes have been absolutely devastating. I think Helene set some really awful records in terms of just the human cost, the loss of life. You spoke about the dollars, which were also spectacular, but the loss of life was really the devastating part of Helene. Fortunately, from a Lemonade perspective, we were rather lightly hit. We responded to our customers' claims very, very quickly. We were able to settle those as we do by and large automatically and instantaneously. But we just reported a few hours ago on our financials, and we reported a 73% loss ratio, which I think is indicative of or suggestive of the fact that we have really mastered loss ratio, that our exposure to natural catastrophes has come down dramatically over the course of the last few years. Just a year ago, we had an 83% loss ratio, and a year before that, 94. Seeing us drop more than 20% over the course of 2 years is pretty much unparalleled in the industry, and in no small measure due to us proactively limiting our exposure to the kind of natural catastrophes you were just asking about.
And so that kind of gets to my next question. I mean, is that loss ratio that you're looking at a byproduct of determining who and who doesn't get coverage because of either a set of parameters like where they live or what they're trying to insure, and ultimately how have you been able to leverage technology? Because I know that we've talked about AI in the past to really make some of those decisions as well and kind of set a standard service level agreement, but also best practices that the firm can replicate.
That's right. And we've been growing our book dramatically. So while we've been limiting our exposure to the most natural catastrophe exposed areas, we've been selling a lot of insurance to a lot of consumers around the globe. We just reported a 24% increase in our total premiums year on year. We've grown by pretty much 50% over the course of the last 2 years, 2.3 million customers at the moment. So very rapid growth in terms of customer count, premiums per customer. And at the same time, the loss ratio, which is really the inverse of gross margin, if you like, so our profitability, our gross profit have been increasing very steadily. So you've seen this steady increase, in fact, acceleration in top line. This time last year, we had 18% growth and 19, 20, 22. And this quarter, 24, we think 26 next quarter. So rapid acceleration on the top line, but not paying a price for that in terms of profitability. Quite the contrary. Our gross profit is up 71% year on year, 3x over the course of the last 2 years. So selling more insurance, but doing it absolutely based on AI's predictions, being very smart about what kind of coverage to what kind of consumers. When you find that goodness of fit between what the consumer wants and what makes sense for our systems, we seal the deal with very rapid conversion, very good conversion rates, very high levels of customer satisfaction. But we do skirt around some of the most cat-exposed areas where AI doesn't have a marked advantage. So if we're selling pet insurance and we can use really tens of thousands of parameters in complex models to and predict out the life and the health of pets. Same with cars, same with renters. That's where our advantage is most pronounced. Predicting the weather is not something where Lemonade enjoys a distinct advantage.
You mentioned pet insurance, and it sucks to hear when your pet is not going to be insured because of some pre-existing condition or whatever has been baked into the decision-making models over at Lemonade. What are the most common cases that you see when a pet is either not getting insured or where an owner has to pay a little bit more of a premium to make sure that that pet can get insured?
Yeah, so the trick with pet insurance is to insure your pet from the get-go. And in fact, we have a very heavily leaning portfolio towards pups and kittens and really young pets. Once they have aged and you wait until some kind of condition has manifested, it's very difficult, much like the health insurance that you were just reviewing before this segment. It's very difficult retroactively to get insured for something where the damage has already occurred. So we do recommend getting it early on. We have, apropos AI, our AIs will review veterinary reports and we'll be able to sift out pre-existing conditions and preclude them from the coverage if needs be for obvious reasons. But we are one of the fastest growing pet insurance insurers in the nation. We're growing very, very rapidly. This is a profitable and with very high level of customer satisfaction book of business. And more broadly, if I zoom out from pet and really across, I mentioned all of our different products, so renters and home and pet and car, we've seen our loss ratios come down across the board, and that's resulted in very significant cash flow generation by a business, really for the first time at these kinds of levels. So we've seen a 1,500 increase in our net cash flow year on year. So the combination of a rapidly growing top line with margin expansion, you multiply those together and you get to some really nice dynamics in terms of gross profit dollars, cash flow generation, etc.
Daniel, great to speak with you as always. Dan Schreiber, who is the LMND CEO. Thanks so much for taking the time.
Thanks, Brad.